Hey guys, in this video I am going to show you how to increase your credit score by decreasing your utilization rate by increasing your limits on your own credit cards. All right. Now, this is a trick that many people don't know how to do. And when I mean trick, I mean that in a good way. Remember, the credit, this whole credit thing that people are a part of, that millions of us participate in, it's a game. You have to remember that it's just like soccer or basketball or tennis or golf. Those are games in which there are rules, and if you understand the rules, you will be good at the game. So with credit, it's the same thing. Whether you acknowledge it or not, you are in the game. Okay, so this is a trick for the game, and this is one way of playing the game correctly. So uh, I am making this video because in these past few days, in fact, these past few weeks, I've had some individuals have come to me and they've said, Rob, I need to increase my score, maybe by like 10 points or 20 points or 30 points, right? And they tell me what's going on, and I take a look at their credit report, and I tell them, look, you can do this. Like, you don't need to pay down your balances. I have examples of balances over here. Or you don't need to piggyback off of somebody else on like, you don't need to become an authorized user on somebody else's account. Okay. And this is what happens many times. Many times people, they kind of freak out. They say, well, right now my credit utilization is at 24%. So I'll give you an example, right? So number one is, I have these credit cards over here, right? I have Lowe's, Amazon, American Express, Target, and Capital One, right? And this is just an example. This is not real life, just examples of what the balances are of each of these credit cards and what the credit limits are, right? So if you add up this 1,500, 1,400, 1,250, 1,300, and 1,000, comes out to 6,450. These are the limits that they have on each of these cards. So Lowe's has $7,500, Amazon 6,000, American Express 5 grand, Target 3,000, and Capital One $5,000. If you add up all these, then it's $26,500. So let's get the utilization rate. So the utilization rate is really easy to get. Add up the balances, the total balances comes out to $6,450, and then you divide that by the total amount of limit, right, for all the credit cards that this individual here has, which comes out to $26,500. Okay, the the utilization rate comes out to 24.3%. So let's just imagine it's at 24%, right? Now, many people think that in order to get this down, right, because the lower this amount is, then the higher your credit score is going to be. Many people think that in order to get this down, you have to pay off a lot of these cards. Now, I'm just going to let you know, I would pay off this as fast as possible because you're getting charged interest, okay? But we're not talking about the interest right now. We're talking about how to decrease this so you can increase your credit score, right? So many people say, oh man, like, I don't have, of the $1,500 here, I don't have $1,000 so I can bring this down, or pay off like maybe $1,000 for each of these so that I can get this balance down, keep the same limit, and then obviously this will go down, right? So my credit score will go up. People think that that's the only way that you can do that. That is not the only way you can do it. In fact, you have it in yourself to increase this, thereby decreasing this, and a lot of people don't know this. And this is what you can do, okay? So I've come across some individuals where this is happening, right? And their scores, their credit scores, are in the high sixes and low 700s. Some of them are in the mid 700s. And the reason why they're that high, and even though they have a utilization rate of 24%, okay, is because everything else on their credit profile is great. So they have never been late on their payments. They have a mix of credits. So they have credit cards, they have mortgages, or have had mortgages. They have auto loans. They have student loans that they've paid off. Whatever. There's a mix, and they don't do a lot of inquiries as well. So their credit scores are decent, meaning they're in the mid 600s to the mid 700s. Okay, so especially if you're in the mid 700s, what you can do is this. It's very simple, right? Get on the phone, okay? Call up Lowe's and say, you know what, I'd like to increase my limit. All right. Let's say they increase the limit to from 7,500 to $15,000. All right. So I'm gonna go over this soon. But one of the things that I do suggest is, look, just ask for as much as possible. I always ask for double the limit of what I already have. The worst they could, like, the worst they can say is no. The best they can say is yes, and then between there they'll say, well, we can't increase it to double, but maybe we'll give you 10 grand of a limit. Great. Okay. So Amazon over here, let's say your limit, you call up Amazon credit card and say, hey, you know, I'd like to request a line of credit, an increase to my line of credit. And let's say they go from 6,000 to 8,000, right? American Express, they are notoriously good for doubling the limit. So let's just say it goes from 5,000 to 10 grand. All right. Target, let's say it goes from 3,000 to 5,000. All right. In Capital One, let's just say it goes from 5 grand to 7,500, right? All right. So now let's add up the new limits, right? So the limits now are the 15,000 plus the 8 and the 8 and the 10 is another 18,000 plus 5,000 plus 7,500. So now the new limit is, wait for it, $45,500. So now what are you going to do? Remember, you still have the same balance. It probably went down a little bit because you're paying it off, but let's just say you're not paying off as much as you should. You're only paying the minimum monthly payment that they're requiring, right? So let's just say you're still at 6,450. So now instead of dividing this amount by this amount, you'll divide this amount by this amount, right? So let's do that division, okay? So $6,450 divided by $45,500. That utilization is now at 14%. It was at 24%. What did I say before? 23, 24%. Now it's at 14%. Your score is going to go up easily, like 10, 15, 20 points just by making a phone call. That's it. That's all you did. All right. And just by doing it on some of these cards, okay, who knows? Maybe you have more. All right. And this doesn't even include the fact that you can piggyback off of somebody else's credit card, you know, by becoming an authorized user. All right. So I'm letting you know this, especially for the individuals who I've been speaking with. All right. And for everybody to know is that you may have it already in your hands. Like, you may not know this, but if you need to, you know, get those 10 or 15 extra points on your credit score so you can, you know, get, you know, a better rate on your refinance, or maybe get that hard money loan, or maybe get, you know, or maybe, you know, you want that minivan, and instead of paying a 7% interest rate, or, you know, now you're paying a 4%, just because you increase your score a little bit. This is how you could do it. This is exactly how you can do it. Now, let me show you, let me tell you how you should be doing this, okay? Now, please forgive the chicken scratch over here. I literally was at my desk, and I don't know, I just wanted to do this and get it done. And I didn't have time to write it down on paper or anything like that. I just wrote it all like pretty quick. So it says over here how to increase your score by decreasing your utilization, which is what we did over here, right? It went from 24 to 14%, okay, which is great. So the first thing that you should always remember is that when you do speak with your credit card companies, ask them if it's a soft or a hard inquiry, right? So you want to make sure it's a soft inquiry, because then the hard inquiry is not going to take a hit on your credit report, all right? Now, hard inquiries really don't make up a huge factor when it comes to credit reporting, but, you know, you don't want to have too many on there, okay? So just ask them if it's a soft or a hard pull. If it's a soft, hey, go ahead, get it done, all right? If it's a hard one, you may want to think about it, all right, or just say no if you just don't want to do it, all right. um, Another thing that you may want to do is like if you're gonna like if you know that you want to increase that line of credit and it's gonna be a hard pull. Maybe you don't even want to. Maybe you may not want to increase that line of credit. Maybe you just want to apply for another credit card and see if you could get a whole nother new line of credit. And who knows what that that limit is going to be, right? So let's just say that. By the way, these cards right here, they don't require hard pulls or hard inquiries. Lowe's soft, Amazon soft, Amex soft, Target soft, Cap One soft. Some of the ones that do hard inquiries are HSBC, I think Raymond or Flanagan, Wells Fargo. It also depends on which Wells Fargo. Sometimes they just increase the line of credit on their own, okay? Just call and you just have to ask. That's it, just ask, okay? So number one is only a soft inquiry, right? Number two is this: use the same incomes consistently. So every time you call up and you ask for a line of credit, they will ask you, how much do you make? They're gonna ask you for your income, right? So like, let's say it's January 2021 and you call them up and you say, hey, I make 50 grand a year, right? And then they give you a small increase. And then let's say in April you call up again because you want another increase, because this is what you can do. And I'm gonna go over this over here. And you say that you make now $150,000 a year. They're probably not going to give you an increase, because who goes from making a 50 grand a year then to making $150,000 a year within 3 or 4 months? You got to keep your income consistent, okay? So if you tell them that you're making $200,000 a year in January, tell the credit card company that you're making 200 grand in April. And then when you apply again, in April, they will most likely give you the increase again. And then if you apply again, like let's say in October or November, all right, a few months after that, keep it at 200,000, all right? Just always keep it at the same amount, all right? So that's number two. Number three, request to double your limit, all right? As I mentioned, American Express over here, they will double your limit. I mean, that's just one thing that they do. I mean, it's Amazon, not really, but hey, just request it, right? Who knows if they're gonna give it to you now? Lowe's, I remember with Lowe's, I went from having a limit of $800 to going, from there to like 6 grand, and that's because I asked for 10,000. All right, but I went from 800 to 6,000, so they kind of met me in the middle, which is great. All right. So yeah, so the same applies for these cards, right? So just ask for double. All right. Number four. So that was number three. Number four is this: you can do this every 3 or 4 months. All right. Imagine that every 3 or 4 months you're decreasing your utilization rate just by making a phone call, right? Not by paying anybody to make these phone calls for you. It's so easy. You could do it in the morning, you could do it at night. I mean, there's some banks that are open 24/7. You just call up their customer care department, and they'll be more than happy to call you. I mean, I think with a few of my credit cards once, I think I called like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and they gave me increases, meaning that they're open, right? So, when I hear people say, oh, I don't have time to make the phone call, guys, you have the time, because they give you the time. They give you all this time available to make these phone calls, okay? So, make the phone call, okay? And do it every 3 or 4 months. The other thing, too, is use the card, right? So, for my Lowe's card over here, okay, so I have a Lowe's card. I really don't go to Lowe's a lot. The reason is because I live really close to Home Depot. So if I need something, if I need a tool, materials, whatever, instead of going to Lowe's, which is a good like 20 minutes away from where I live, I drive down the street. I can even walk there, which would probably take about like 20, 30 minutes. But I could drive to Home Depot in about 4 minutes, okay? So I never go to Lowe's. My point is I never go to Lowe's. So I never use the card. But what I do is I make I create a reminder on my Google Calendar, and I'm going to go over this right now, that every 6 months I will go to Lowe's and use the card. Now, when I go to Lowe's, I don't buy stuff that I don't need, okay? I mean, if you see one of my videos with me and my car, like, you're going to know that I am almost, like a minimalist, right? I don't like to buy stuff that I just don't need. Like, if it's needless, I don't buy it. But I want to keep my cards, right? So what do I do when I go to Lowe's? Very simple. I go to the front. I didn't even go to the back, right? Go to the front. I buy myself a Snickers bar and a bottle of Coke, which comes out to no more than like $2.50 or $3. Plus, I'm getting the 5% off of that, which doesn't come out to a lot, but it's still 5% off because I'm using my Lowe's card at Lowe's. And Lowe's credit card, which is, I think, financed by Synchrony Bank, they see that I'm using the card. So I'm not going to lose that card. The last thing I want to do is lose that card, because right now my limit with Lowe's is $25,000. If they see that I'm not using it, they will remove credit cards from my profile with a $25,000 limit. I don't want that to happen at all, okay? So that's why I will go and buy a bar Snickers, a Snickers bar, and a bottle of Coke every 6 months, all right? And now, how do I do this? Everybody, I'm assuming, has Gmail. Well, most people have Gmail. And if you do have Gmail, you also do have access to Google Calendar. So what I do in my Google Calendar is I put in there what cards I have to utilize every 6 months, all right? So I think, I forget, it's like February 1st, and then, what is it, September 1st, right? And I put on there, use these specific cards. Look, Macy's. I never go to Macy's, but I don't want to lose the card, right? Lowe's, all right? I have a Wells Fargo credit card that I really don't use. The reason why I really don't use is because it doesn't give me cash back as much as some of the other cards that I use, right? Capital One is another card. Discover is another card. So there's a few cards that I have that I almost never use, but what I do is I put in my Google Calendar to utilize it, all right, to use it, because if I don't use it, I don't want to get a letter from the credit card company saying, hey, we're noticing you're not using it, so we may take it away. And I definitely don't want them to just take it away. That happens as well. If you don't use the card, sometimes they don't even notify you. They just say, hey, we canceled the card because we noticed you haven't used it in a really long time. A really long time would be a few years, okay? So what I put over here is, make a note in your Google Calendar or whatever type of calendar that you have to, number one, use your card. Number two is request the increase of your credit limit every 3 or 4 months. Put that in there as well, okay? And that will help you increase your limit, all right? And thereby decreasing your utilization rate, thereby increasing your credit score. Now, you may say to yourself, oh, but Rob, I don't have a credit score of like 750 or 725. It's okay. Call up the credit card companies anyway, because who knows what they may give to you. They may give you, instead of 15,000 there, they may give you 9,000 or 10,000. It doesn't matter. Whatever they give you, right? What is that saying? I rather have 10% of nothing than no. I rather have what is it? 10%. Oh no, I'd rather have 10% of something than 100% of crap, right? What would you crap is nothing, right? So why would I want 100% of it? But I want 10% of something. So if they give you something, great, okay? But if they don't, that's okay. At least you asked, all right? So then just ask again later, all right? And that's about it with the video, all right? Please like, subscribe, and share this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.